All right, we got you now. Just go with the computer audio. It doesn't matter.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Very well.
Then that's all that matters. That's all. It was a struggle. It was like climbing that mountain behind you to get this done. But you know what? Good things require patience, Owen.
That's very true. I agree completely.
So you know what? Here's what I want to do. I've got some fun stuff on the docket for us today. Actually, you probably didn't know this. I also have your book right here. Look at that.
There
I've got
it
your
is.
book. You probably didn't even know that. We didn't even mention your book when I asked you to come on. You didn't even bring up your book. I do have it. We can get to that in a second. Here's what I want to ask you. You seemed to be a bit ahead of the curve as far as you kind of took, you were always a comedian and a writer. You kind of would do some political stuff. Your audience, everybody was kind of sucked into the gravity of politics in the first Trump run. And then with COVID and everything else, it was like this force of gravity. Everybody kind of got sucked into it. And you kind of cut ties with that a couple years ago and just said, hey, look, my angle now is just funny. My angle now is just nothing is serious. Everything is funny. And, obviously your comedic background, it was kind of probably natural for you to do that. I still got to do the news every day. That's what I do. But I'm like, now I'm looking at you and I'm saying, well, that was kind of ahead of the curve. So my question, I guess, is, did you anticipate that the second Trump administration would be such a joke? Are you surprised at what a disaster MAGA has become? Or is it just all in stride for you because you realized the whole thing is a clown show years ago?
Yeah, I think it's probably the latter because I started looking at the nature of government itself and what it is, the first principles. And that's why I wrote the book, How to Slay a Wizard. It's basically how spells work and how, mind control and stuff like that actually works. And it's all about people that give up their authority and people that almost kind of need to be managed. They supply the system for that. And it really is. And I didn't want to be a customer anymore, because what I had seen, my journey started with the trans kid thing where when I saw people saying that it was hate to go against putting an 8-year-old on hormone blockers. And then when I'm making fun of Bruce Jenner and comedians that I've been in their weddings, like we've done Comedy Central specials together. Like I know the jokes that they do. I know how they think. And for them to pretend that I was a man of hate, I was like, there's something else is going on here. And so I realized that the best I could do for my family, for myself, for anybody is just to do my job well and have no sacred cows. And so there's no identity I won't make fun of. And that's why I was really ahead of the curve with like quote unquote Jews and stuff like that. It's not even that I necessarily have this big axe to grind with Jews. I just don't leave anyone out. It's like I'll analyze someone's identity and make fun of it, and that allows me, I call it jester's privilege, where that allows me to do the jokes. And there's no bad words, like there's no words that are off limits, because it's kind of like telling a painter that he can't use a color. It's like human consciousness and intention is everything, and a word can't be good or bad.
Well, that depends on who you ask, I guess. Some people would tell you that some words are bad. Some people on the right now, by the way, I don't know if you've noticed, the right has gone majorly woke in the last year, but we can talk about that if you want. It seems though, you talk about, well, you were ahead of the Jewish jokes or however you put it, but hasn't that always kind of been like, that's always kind of been an understanding? And you look at maybe one of the most, or maybe the two most famous Jewish comics, Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld, they always wrote that into Seinfeld. They always wrote that into Curb Your Enthusiasm, like the joke of like, hey, the Jews are kind of off limit, but like we're going to make Jewish jokes, but then we're going to remind everybody how that's also off limits. So has that always been the heaviest one? And then obviously like the trans stuff kind of emerged in the last 5 to 10 years. But has that kind of been the one realm where it was like, as a comedian, it was like, okay, this is where I'm going to maybe push the most buttons?
Yeah, I think because right now it appears that we're being ruled by wizards, and that's all. I mean, what you just described is how you get dominance over someone. is you put it in plain sight and you create the cognitive dissonance. Uh, and that causes this confusion that allows programming to be inserted inside somebody. Like that's not, like Seinfeld can do a whole thing about how sneaky and shady George is and how they're always up to these shenanigans and they're putting the poor soup Nazi out of business, even though he was running a very, like he was a good guy, that was like he was.
And they all missed the soup when he was gone. They all missed the soup.
Yeah, and he just wanted basic rules to be followed while people waited for the soup. And these four psychopaths, these childless psychos, they couldn't tolerate any rules. And so they had to destroy his life and cancel him and ruin him and all that. And the irony about Jewish culture is, in my opinion, it's just very feminine. It's almost like they're always shit testing, where, it's almost like they're like a girl trying to get you to do something and they want you to say no almost. It's like bomb Iran. And like they want you to be like, no, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. That'll ruin everything. And then they're like, oh man, this is why I love you. This is why I need like such a strong man in my life. And if you go with what they want, it'll ruin them. It's like they're the most self-destructive culture on the planet.
Yeah, there is something to that. And I don't want to go into that realm too much with you today because I have some lighter stuff that I want to talk about. But I do think
lighter. But that's my advice to, like, I don't have any hatred. It's like this is my advice to survive. It's like you don't go full. It's almost like you got a buddy that's a recovering alcoholic, and he's just always wants to. He's like, let's go to Vegas, man. Let's go to Vegas. It's like, it's a bad call, man. I'm telling you, you don't want to go to Vegas. It's an act of love to resist certain tendencies,
Yeah. Well, and I think too, I said it in a very serious broadcast over a year ago now, and this is when it was kind of getting really heavy. And I said, look, because this is when the debate started to emerge on the right over Israel. And I said, look, if you really care about Israel, because there was this big pressure campaign, like, oh, you need to care about Israel, whatever. And it just hit me from like kind of a future sight perspective. I said, look, if you really care about Israel, like if that's your big ideology here for whatever reason to care about Israel, then you have to understand that where we're going foreign policy wise is going to destroy Israel. Like this is going to destroy Israel. Or even if you want to get more personal, if you care about Jews or you have
exactly.
You are Jewish, like obviously now we've all seen it play out, but I was saying at the time, it's like, this is obviously where it's going to go. There's going to be more hatred of Jews. There's going to be more hatred of Israel. Like that's the only direction this thing goes. I don't care how many times you bomb Iran or Gaza or the West Bank. I don't care, whatever it is you want to claim and do, that's going to be the end result. And so it was kind of inevitable. And now here we are. And now the right, the young people can't stand it. The right wing is Israel's losing favor. And people are like, oh, what's going on? It must be anti-Semitism. And it's like, no, this is a natural progression here.
Yeah. And 7 years ago, when I was seen as this, man of hate, I literally was saying the same thing. I'm like, you want to allow the jokes to kind of let people ease into it. You don't want it just to hit people hard, because then you could get a really unstable situation. And I think that's where we're at right now. Whereas back in the day, I was just doing very simple jokes about it, like various liability shields. I don't know if you've seen my Pol Pot cartoon, where it's just Pol Pot is arguing with a Hollywood producer about, who had a more, like, why doesn't anyone talk about his genocide? And that's kind of how you do it. It gives.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
What?
I'm sorry. Oh, I just muted you. No, I got you back. I muted you accidentally.
Oh, cool. Yeah, and so that's why I wrote
Pol
this
Pot,
book.
Actually, Pol Pot called me. He said, silence you right now.
Yeah, Pol Pot. Why don't everyone talk about my genocide? Yeah, and that cartoon's been going viral now a lot. And that's why I wrote this book, because I wanted to make it like, I wanted to fractally bring it down to the microcosm where people can see how wizardry works in their own personal life and how to resist it, like how to not fall for it over and over again. And I hope it really helps people. I mean, right now that book's #1 in the rhetoric section on Amazon, and the response has been really good, because people now see that it's all word spells. It's all like, because the demons can't get you to do anything. They need you to, like, free will can't actually be hijacked. You have to do it yourself, you know?
You're a little older than I am. I'm 36. I don't know how old you are, but I would imagine, I think that what I like to say is the world that I grew up in and the world my father grew up in we had a way more similar experience than the world that I will grow up in or you will grow up in. I think you have like 4 kids. The world that you grew up in versus the worlds that your kids are going to grow up in are way different than the worlds the difference between you and your father's world. I don't know if I'm phrasing this right. I think you understand what I'm saying. And so I'm sitting here, I'm like, hey, I remember growing up. I remember growing up with Jewish friends, Black friends, Mexican friends, Asian friends. Like, it was all funny. Like, we all made fun of each other. Nobody took anything personally. It was all fun. Like, it was like, that was kind of the culture, was like, yeah, you talk trash and then you laugh and you drink a beer or something. It's like, now, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a young person now, but it seems like there is this like, oh, don't say that, or you can't joke about that. You can't joke about this. There's always these, racial anvils, these identity politic anvils hanging over your head that just weren't there. They weren't there when I was growing up. And I just wonder if this stuff is going to go away, if it's getting worse, because to me, I didn't deal with that. That didn't exist when I was in high school.
Yeah, I don't comply with any of that. That's why I'm in Idaho.
What is that behind you? What is the name of that stream?
Oh, that's the Moyi River. Yeah,
very nice.
My kids are being raised on a farm. They play violin. They play the fiddle. Their life is probably more like my grandparents' life. It's like, because I wouldn't go along with that. I started realizing that all these quote unquote right wingers were complaining about things, but complying to it, where they'd say, how come the left can do this, but we can't? I'm like, we can. And they're like, but the left. And I'm like, just do it, man. Like, just say the thing. Like, if you spot hypocrisy, like I hear this all the time. It's like, well, how come, Drewski can do whiteface, but we can't do blackface? I'm like, just do black, like, who cares? And that's it. Like, that's literally the end of it. It's like, and so I realized that people kept saying, do not comply. And I realized it's do not rely, because if you rely, you kind of have to comply, or else you're like a rebellious slave. And so when COVID was happening and I just would never wear a mask, I'm like, if they kick us out of the supermarkets, we have to be self-sufficient. And we make our own cheese. We have goats and cows and alpacas and, a well and all this stuff. And I'm like, no one tells me shit. It's like, there's no time in my life where someone's like, you can't say that. I'd be like, get the fuck off my property, Well,
you've gone totally independent. You're close to a caveman. You're a little trimmed up right now. You're a little cleaned up right now, So you're not full caveman at this moment. But I do have a feeling that when this stream ends, you're actually just going to turn around and jump into that stream. And in matters of minutes, your hair could grow long, your beard could grow out. You might get a little more gruff in your presentation.
Exactly.
Is that how nature works? I'm a city slicker. I don't know.
Yeah, well, this guy down the street, I think he's on the verge of inventing the wheel, and it's pretty much blowing my mind, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out together.
Maybe you can like put it in the water and generate power.
That's what this guy said, but we burned him alive to satisfy the god Loki. But other than that, things are going pretty well. But he had to burn. The flesh was required, and that's how we keep away the spirits.
Maybe next time. All right, I want to get into some lighter stuff here with you. I want to read a story. This is in the news. I think this is from today. Let me see when this is from. Let me just read this to you, get your response. Or let's see how long you can listen to this. Guys, let's see how long Owen Benjamin can listen to me read this story until he starts laughing. And I know what the final line I'm going to have here is. But here we go. This is in the Atlantic. This is actually from yesterday. A private company wants to block the sun. He's already laughing, so that didn't last. I couldn't even get the headline out. A private company wants to block the sun responsibly block the giver of life. Stardust sold geoengineering to investors. Now it needs to sell it to the public. Okay, from Alexander Kaufman here. Let's get into the meat of it. The world's first major private geoengineering startup must have known it would have skeptics. Okay, it gets into some of these numbers. All right. Stardust Solutions is the name of this company. An American Israeli company, oh, come on, is planning to build a solar reflection system in the next few years. And it's raised tens of millions of dollars so far. So an American Israeli company, whatever that means, Stardust Solutions wants to block out the sun, but this time it's responsible, Owen. It's responsible.
Yeah. I mean, it just seems like more shenanigans from our best buddies, the Jews. No, but it's like, it's bullshit. It's just all bullshit. I'm not even worried about AI. They're like, AI is going to take over all this. I just see people running a pump and dump. It's like, they're not going to block the sun. Like they're like, they're ridiculous people. They can barely tie their shoes. Like they don't know where food comes from.
I'm 50-50 on that with you because I saw your takes on AI. And if there's a case example, then the metaverse is kind of the perfect case example. Or you could go with some other things like a 3D TV. Those flopped. The digital world metaverse, like you put on those goofy goggles and you walk around a fake world or however that works, that flopped. There was no real interest in that. I think Meta lost billions of dollars on that deal. So I could see maybe AI going the same direction, but it does seem to have permeated just kind of the natural flow of people's lives now. I don't know if it's going to be completely irrelevant. I don't know if it'll turn into the Terminator Skynet, like maybe some people are afraid of. Do you think it'll be completely irrelevant, or do you just?
No, I think it's a cool tool. If you know what you're doing and what you want to do, and you know how AI works as a tool, it can do amazing stuff. I mean, you can make these little agents that can categorize and do all these kind of bullshit white collar jobs that people get into college debt for and they waste their life doing. Yeah, I think AI can do a lot of that stuff, and it's kind of a cool search engine, but it's not sentient. It's just a language model. It's just all about percentages and probabilities. And so, like any other thing, I mean, it's moving very fast, but the infrastructure needs to be based way faster. It's like we went into this insane debt to get the railroads, and that changed the world and everything. And railroads would last 100 years. I mean, the infrastructure for AI lasts about 3 years, and then you have to keep replacing it. And the amount of energy it needs, and the amount of infrastructure, and the amount of raw materials and rare earth minerals and silver and all that, it requires even more manpower to make the thing that can put boobs on a monkey. It's like, it's just farther up the Tower of Babel.
Well, and I wonder too, with all the details you just laid out, if these companies and these investors aren't getting a bit ahead of themselves. There was a big video in Florida. I mean, they are building in the middle of rural farmland, Florida, like the biggest data center. I mean, it's miles. This site is going to be a miles long data center. And I'm wondering, are they just getting ahead of themselves? Do they already know what they're going to use this for? I'm not so sure, because we do know the energy. We don't have the energy right now, unless you're going to tell Americans to stop, living in a house. We just don't have the energy capacity for it. And then secondly, what is even the purpose? Like, I don't need this data center. I can get access to anything I want on the internet right now. Why do we need these giant data centers? So there's obviously something else going on. Or do you think they're putting the cart before the horse on this? Kind of like with Trump, who now I don't even know if anything he says is true, but he's like, I've got $5 trillion in investments. The next day, $7 trillion in investment. I've got 10 trillion. We've got 500 bajillion trillion. And I'm not sure any of it even exists. Honestly, I don't think any of it even exists. But they're going to build these data centers. Do you think it'll all be defunct within years, or do you think there's maybe a different purpose to building these things?
Well, this is the late stages of a wizardry-built empire on fiat currency. I mean, it's abracadabra. I mean, dollars don't even exist to begin with. When you get a mortgage, they just take the money out of thin air by just typing it into a machine. And so you're just seeing kind of the culmination of all this corruption and scamming, where it's just abominations. I remember my hometown, we had three nuclear power plants, and I think nuclear power is going to come back because they do need a lot
It
of it.
has to. It has to.
It
This is
has to. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And so, and it's awesome energy too. That's why
Was that in California? Was that in California?
no, Oswego, New York. It's in the middle of absolute nowhere. I mean, my parents' house. I joke that BlackRock doesn't even buy my town. Houses are still like 70 grand. It's hilarious. But what were we just talking about nuclear power? Oh, about what they're doing. So my hometown had all this money come in from the nuke plants, and then a couple shut down, and they couldn't have a football team anymore, but yet they still built a brand new turf field. And I was asking, like, why did you build it? They're like, because we had it budgeted. And I'm like, but there's no football team. And they're like, but we had it budgeted.
Like a bridge to nowhere.
Right. And so when you have these people that are functioning in a corrupt manner where they don't function on any moral code, and you see a lot of this with the AI people, like they're just they're fiends, they're just fiendish. They don't have a plan. I mean, their plan is just to acquire capital and influence, but in the end, it just becomes nothing. It's just like they're just building bullshit. And this is how scams end,
And by the way, for people that don't know, those turf fields are usually 7 figures. I mean, if you get a new turf field, you're probably spending $1 million or more, I guess, depending on some other details. But those are not cheap. So that's funny. And that's almost to the point where you get into this question of, are these even real people? Like, I'm not even trying to be funny. Like, are these even real people? Are these NPCs? It's like, hey, we're going to build the football team. Oh, who's going to play on it? Well, I don't know.
Well, I've seen that with people all the time. It's like people make a choice to give up their autonomy because I've seen it in comedy where they'll just pretend something's offensive. And I'm like, to who? Like age of consent laws offend pedophiles. Like, being offended doesn't mean anything morally. Like, are you offended because I just made fun of how horrible you are? Like, who cares? And so when people give up their autonomy, they give up, they're vacated. They're like, I'm not making any choices. And I see it all the time. I see it where people just make these choices where they just put their kid on a little yellow bus driven by some meth addict, and they just take them away for all day long, and their heads get filled with lies, and they feed them like Mountain Dew. It's like,
dare you insult America's bus drivers like this?
Dude, they don't even have seatbelts on these buses. Like, imagine that. Like, growing up, I never even thought about that. There's no seatbelts on the buses, and there's just some guy like, and this is like your child, and you're like, oh, see you later.
Hey, do you ever talk to the South Park guys, Trey and Matt?
Well, they had me through my agent back in the day. They had me host their events a few times.
Yeah, I knew you had some connection there. I'm just curious because you go back and watch these South Park episodes.
Yeah, dude.
20 years old, and you're like, holy smokes. Because it was never interpreted as like, this is going to be the reality. It was always interpreted as, we're going to take this direction and push it to the end. It was like, that's what they were doing. It's like, okay, this is happening, but what's like the end result of this? Okay, let's go all the way. And now it's like, you watch these old episodes and it's actually all happening. I watch some of these South Park episodes and I'm like, oh my God, who would have ever thought watching that at the time, it would end up being real? Like the Randy Macho Man Savage competing in women's sports, like, I'm the strongest woman. No one will defeat me. And you got all these liberals like knocking their knees, like, oh, yeah, you're a woman. Yeah. Okay. It's like now that's happening.
Yeah. I made a series for Sony in 2005 called Gay Town, where I was a closet heterosexual in a gay world. And I had to like do fantasy baseball in a park bathroom. And, it was like the Mormons were called Mormons, and they would go door to door, and it happened. And people thought I like worked for the CIA or something. They're like, how did you know that? I'm like, it's comedic inevitability where you see a pattern, you extrapolate it, you exaggerate it. And unless something stops it, that's where life is going, and then the way I see it is things invert until they kind of come back around, because when you go full inversion, where up is down, hot is cold, good is bad, death is life. And you have, like, you brought up Trump, where Trump, the same news headline will say, the war in Iran's about to end. It's not a war, and we're about to, like, really escalate the war. It's just like, and that can't really function. And so anybody that is in reality can outperform that, and you get a massive advantage if you just, like, think about how much money I save now just growing my food. And before, people thought I was like a freak. They're like, you ate a Joey Diaz pot brownie and you ran to the woods with a cow. And I'm like, now those same people are like, hey man, can I get some cheese? Like,
well, we could talk about farming. That's a whole nother conversation. But I want to talk about what you just brought up with comedy. And this might be an example of what I'm going to say here. I don't know if you've noticed this or if you agree. But Saturday Night Live is kind of funny again. Specifically their political stuff. They've always obviously made fun of politics and presidents, but when they were kind of just focused on this political bent of, hate Trump or get Trump or embarrass Trump with no real tether to reality, it was never funny. It just ended up being bad political propaganda. But like,
yeah.
But now you watch a Trump speech and he says, we've won the war and the war is over. And then 2 seconds later, we need more help with the war.
Exactly.
And then on the end of the speech, he'll say, this is what happened in the last 48 hours. We have decimated Iran's military. They have no missiles and no capacity to launch missiles, even if they had them. It's a victory. And then it's like, oh, wow, okay. And then you open up the news today. 2 American jets shot out of the air by Iran. 2 helicopters shot by Iran. 40 missiles hit Israel. What? It's like, wait, Trump just told me that they're decimated. They have no missiles. They have no military. And now they're bombing everything in sight. Iran is bombing 10 countries with the missiles they don't have and the military we destroyed. And so it's like, okay, here comes the opportunity for SNL to be funny again. But here's the point you made, that it's like, this is why woke never worked in comedy. And so basically you put 2 thoughts out there and you said, you can't, it's like, if you want to do comedy, you have to be able to take a concept and push the boundaries. Like, that's what you have to do with comedy. But if you're woke and it's like you're afraid to do that, you can't be funny, right? It's like you can't, if you're scared, it's like, I'm going to take this concept and I think it's going to go this far and that's going to be funny. But if you say, oh, I can't do that, that's not politically correct, then you're not funny anymore. So it was like, you can't be woke and be funny. It's actually, I think, philosophically impossible to try to protect these ideas, but then also be funny trying to break them down.
Yeah, and you also have to be self-effacing. They say a vampire can't see their reflection. You can't have a sacred cow even with yourself, where you can't really be on a team. And you have to have it rooted in truth, or else you can't extrapolate from it. And I've made missteps over the years with that stuff where, there'd be a few, periods in my life where I really felt like things were getting crazy. And I kind of lost Jester's privilege from moment to moment, because I didn't see the humor in what I was doing as well. Or, I would think like a joke was an attack or something. And it's interesting when you see it and then you can allow it again, and I think a lot of that is healing right now. Like, people are spiraling about what's happening in the world. It is the best time I've ever seen. I mean, there was a time when I could see a lot of this stuff and other people couldn't see it. And I felt a lot more stress and anxiety every day than I do now. Now it's like, because I'm all about people making their own choices. I'm like, choose whatever you want. It was just crazy living in a world where people wouldn't acknowledge reality,
Well, I think that might be, well, maybe on the right, worse than ever, or at least, in the modern sense. It's funny that you say that, because I think, I don't know, my direction is obviously different than yours. I do a news show every day. I do 3 hours of news every day, but I'm kind of having this same issue where it's just like, I almost feel bad for my audience. It's like, who wants to hear this crap every day? Like, I'm lucky enough that I have an audience that wants to listen to me 3 hours a day, and I put in the work to know what I'm talking about and do a show. But I'm like, by the time I finish my news aggregation, I'm like, man, this is just shitty. Like all of our politicians are just shit. Everybody that claim to be principled in MAGA, they're all liars, frauds, and cult members. It's like, I don't want to do this every damn day. So it's like, okay, how do I entertain? How do I, kind of recreate? How do we morph into something that's not just tormenting people with the news cycle every day? And I guess I'm kind of doing that here with you right now. But it does seem, I mean, even in the conversations, and I guess I'll ask it to you like this. I don't know, maybe it's different. You live on a farm, but I can tell the difference between somebody that actually has like a legitimate, normal social life versus somebody that doesn't, the way that they cover politics. And I'm not, I'm not claiming I'm the biggest socialite, but I've got social circles. I've got groups of friends. I've got social activities. I go out, I have a pretty normal social life. And so it's like, I have a grasp on what people are thinking and what they're saying about different things. And it's not just one like-minded people. I got all kinds of different people. So it's like, okay, I got a pretty good grasp on where people are at that don't really necessarily follow politics. And then you watch some of the commentary online and you're like, wow, you've really never stepped foot outside your door, have you? Like you never even stepped foot outside of your door. I mean, the best example now is Trump has 100% support in MAGA. Everybody, like, have you talked to a person ever? So I'm just curious, from your social circles, what is it like for you? Because everybody that wants to talk to me is very down and out when it comes to politics. They're very down and out when it comes to news. They feel extremely disenfranchised no matter what their background is, politics are. They just think the whole thing is corrupt. And they're just like, yeah, whatever. Just let it all collapse.
My only friend is Larry Loomer. So,
so
me and Larry Loomer.
Great. You guys are doing great. Is that
old Larry Loomer? Yo, yeah. I mean, those people, they're acting nutty. Yeah, in my social circle, we haven't talked about politics that much since COVID. I mean, for example, okay, the Charlie Kirk shooting. I mean, I know a ton of elk hunters. Like most people I know hunt a lot. And so when they said that was a 30-06, people just thought it was like a funny joke, And so people aren't where I live. People don't take any of this stuff very seriously at all. People are more focused on sheriff elections, commissioners, stuff like that. Like the political battles are more, is this piece of land going to be turned commercial? Can we get rid of property taxes? It's more that than like the big show. The big show's gotten a little ridiculous, and but what you're doing is still cool, man. It's like to show people a crazy narrative that might allow them to break out of the political dependency where they think that these people control their lives. That's cool. And it's pretty funny. I mean, it's a pretty epic time to hear the news. I like to stay in tune with the news. Some of the people that listen to me, they don't listen to any news. And so they get their news kind of from me, but I just do it in a funny way,
Well, I don't even bother with the news. I just call Bibi Netanyahu. I just call Benjamin Milikowski and just let him tell me what the world is like. Because, everything else is obviously, I mean, that's how Trump views it. So I'm in the Trump cult. So I've got to view it that way. Of course, we're being facetious here. I'm wondering what this is like for you because, all right, I got 3 hours a day. I have no problem filling 3 hours a day with news. Usually I have to cut down. There's too much news. But like, I'll approach it like this. You brought up the Charlie Kirk assassination. There's, obviously different angles of this now, the bullet, Erica Kirk, TPUSA, all of this stuff. And so my approach was, when it first happened, it was like, okay, let's follow the bouncing ball. Let's try to keep up with everything. And then it reached this point where it became so toxic. Well, I'll go out. It doesn't matter what social circle. I'll go out. I'll talk to my friends, their friends, whatever. It's like you're saying, nobody believes the official narrative. I don't even have to talk. People will just come up to me and they'll be like, did you see that they said it was a 30-06? Did you see what that? So like nobody really believes it. So I'm looking at this topic and I'm like, there's no need for me to talk about this. Like I don't need to jump into this toxic pool of the Charlie Kirk because it's not gonna help me, A, and B, there's nobody to convince. I'm not going to convince the people in the political world that they got it all figured out or they're bought and paid for or they have their own agenda. So there's no point in that. I walk around in public. Nobody believes the official narrative. So is there anything like that in the comedy world where it's like, you know what, everyone else is making this joke, so I don't need
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude, I'm a total hipster too. I'm like, as soon as I'm done doing Jew jokes. I think it's too hacky now. Like everyone's doing Jew jokes, and I'm like, you guys can have them.
Wait, too hacky? Are you talking? Is that a circumcision joke or a Jewish joke?
It's a circumcision joke.
Okay.
Just biting off the tip.
Just making sure. Don't give anyone herpes.
Yeah, dude. I mean, and I'm 6'8", so I relate a lot more with Goliath. I think David pulled some real shady moves.
You're pro Goliath now too?
Big time. They got the sling. They got the sling banned after some, quote unquote shooting. And Goliath didn't know what he was getting in. Dude, they circumcised him after they killed him. Like, that's a pretty crazy move.
Do you get a little scared when you see a slingshot? Does that shake you a little bit?
Yeah, I see a little guy with a yarmulke and a slingshot. I'm out.
What if the guy has a beard too?
I might be in.
The beard brings you back.
Yeah. I don't know. Beard, I feel like a lot more trust when I see a beard. If somebody spends that much time just making their face really smooth, I think that dude's trying to get the tip of my dick.
Okay, well, this is a good segue then. Have you been seeing this new genre of looks maxing that is going on?
Yeah, clavicular.
Yes. I see this. I think most of it is fake, but there's no denying it's very viral right now. It's very trendy right now. I look at it and I'm like, I don't know. I feel like it was always there. There was never really a name for it. It was like you always had guys that wanted to look their best, whatever that meant. There was always there was always that guy in high school or college, however it meant. There was never a name for it. It was never like a genre or a personality. Now it's this whole viral thing. I look at clavicular and half of me says, you know what? I like this. I like the idea of, I'll even say it like down to the identity thing. I like the idea of a white guy being sexualized, right? It's like no one's ever allowed to do that since like Brad Pitt. It's like you haven't been allowed to do that for 20 years. And so it's like, oh, okay, you're allowed to do it again. It's like, all right, whatever. So from that angle, I'm kind of like cheering him on. I'm like, hey, good, manpower, like, let's get the men, let's lift the men up. We can be great again too. And hey, you know what? It's okay to say a white man is sexy again. Like it doesn't have to be a gay guy like John Legend. Like we can say a white guy is good looking again. And then the other part of me sitting here saying, if he keeps this up, he's going to be dead. Like he's dead soon. And so how do you balance that for kids to say, hey, look, sometimes it's okay to push these boundaries and have these things. If you take it too far, you're not going to be faking it. You're going to be having a real seizure.
Yeah, I think one thing I like about clavicular is he's brought new fun words and terms into the lexicon. Like I think maxing and mogging and all that, I think it's hilarious. I like when people do new language things that I can like riff on.
Bone smashing?
Yeah, like bone smash. It's just something new. It's not just regurgitated. That being said, it's crazy. It's just like insane. Yeah, and it's also it's like you're defining yourself by how other people see you too, and it's not healthy at all. It's he has no sperm count.
Literally zero. He's infertile.
He's infertile. It's all about chemical dependency, big pharma. I mean, it's crazy, but he's also pretty funny. Like he was talking to this black dude that was grilling him for saying the N-word, and I say it. I just out of respect. I don't know what channel this is on, but I won't. Just out of respect as a guest.
This is on Negro National Television. You're on Negro National Television here.
I philosophically use any word in context, but anyway. So the way he handled it was so funny. He was like, "It's just a fun word to say, man." And the guy's like, "But." You say the word, he's like, yeah. He's like, it's fun. It's just a fun word. And the dude just started being like, okay. He's like, yeah. And I was like, dude, that's some high level shit, because getting angry is always the problem. And so if you're just chill about stuff, like the people you think are going to be quote unquote offended, they literally don't care. Because I cut my teeth in black rooms, like in Cleveland and Mississippi, Alabama, and like, if you are scared, they'll eat you alive on stage. Like you have to be like fearless as a comedian. And then you know, you go to Hollywood and all these Jews are like, oh, you can't say this word. I'm offended on behalf of the blacks we enslaved. You know, it's like that's the joke. Like that's actually the joke is some guy named Ira is going to be offended on behalf of like their help. But as far as clavicular goes, you know, I was raised in a town with a lot of Sicilians, and guys like the Sicilian men have always been like that. They're always like, you put the air freshener in the heat vent so you get the extra scent, and you put the watch in the cuff. Like they've always been very into their appearance. So aside from the chemicals and the bashing of the bones, it's pretty standard, you know.
Yeah, bone smashing would have meant something different when I was 20 years old. You know what?
Exactly.
You know what's funny about that? You bring up the Sicilians. I've never done comedy, but I always like to pretend I could do stand-up comedy. And I thought about this one bit because I actually saw this happen one time. I'm at my club, I'm at my gym, and I'm in the locker room, and there's a Persian guy. And so there's like kind of this little vanity thing, you know. And the Persian goes up to the vanity. He's got his little bag. It's also like a damn clown car, this bag. So he sits down at the vanity. He pulls out. He's got his scent. All right. He pulls out his scent. He's got his scent. He pulls out his comb. I'm like, okay. I think he pulls out a hair dryer. And I'm like, okay, where is this going? And then he pulls out the body lotion. And then he pulls out the eyebrow tweezers. And then he pulls out the body lotion. And then he pulls out the pomade. And it's like he's got this clown car bag, and it's just nonstop beauty. How do you even fit all this stuff in? And now he's got the whole vanity. He's got a whole damn vanity full of beauty products here. He's sitting at the gym vanity, and I'm just like, what in the hell? He pulls out a gold chain. He's got his gold chain. He's got a whole look like he's about to go to the club. I know that there's some sort of a stand-up bit there, but it's like, yeah, it's always existed. Now we just have these funny terms that we can apply to it and watch guys kind of turn it into a genre.
Yeah, just peacocking. And the Sicilians do it hardcore. They're like so hardcore. And they're like, because Sebastian Maniscalco used to be, because I'm like the opposite of that. If I remember to wear socks, it's like a pretty big deal, you know? And they get disgusted. Like I remember Sebastian would be like, look at you. You're not even combing your hair. You call yourself a man. It's like, yeah, and it's like they really are like that. They're just like, I mean, you didn't dry clean your underpants. Like, what is wrong with you? And yeah, you know, I can see both ways. Like, I don't look down at it. I think it just takes a lot of time. And when you're my size, you know, 6'8", 260, it's like, that's a lot of area to like lotion and care about. Like I care about cardiovascular health, you know, penis reliability.
Well, your workout is on the farm.
Yeah, but I was starting to get a little fat when I went too hard that way. I had to start going to the gym again because I never got to that threshold where you really stay in shape. Like I was getting really good grip strength and I could be strong, but I was getting a little fat. I was like a college lacrosse player. So it's like, I started like admitting that farm work isn't like a full workout. It's like grueling, but you don't really get your heart rate to those places that you need to, you know?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure Larry Loomer appreciated your grip strength, at least.
Definitely.
All right, enough with the homoeroticism here. Let me bring up the next funny thing for you. So, first of all, I'm curious if you would ever do this. I don't know if you ever go to baseball games. Have you seen this? There is a nacho hat, literally a nacho hat. They're selling a nacho hat at the Texas Rangers games. You get a little box of chips on top of your guac and cheese and whatever else they got on there. And by the way, this is another Simpsons prediction.
Oh, you brought me a nacho hat. Thanks.
Wow. Dad. So another Simpsons prediction comes true. Is the nacho hat a new American idea to be celebrated, or is this like, what in the hell have we become?
I'm into it. I just think if I wore the nacho hat, no one could reach it because of the height. And I think it'd be very passive aggressive.
That'd be good for you. Well, it'd be good for you. You'd have domain over your nacho hat. Nobody could steal from you.
100%. And it would seem like I was generous because I have the nacho hat, but no one can reach it except for me. And then I'd probably be attacked by birds. But I'm pro nacho hat. I think that's a fun idea. You know, it's better than the beer hat because I think that leads to a lot of DUIs.
I think somebody did come out with the beer hat too, actually.
Oh, yeah. You'd have the beer on the helmet and you have the hoses go in your mouth. I remember that as a kid at games.
So the beer hat, the nacho hat. You're going with the nacho hat.
I like nachos. I do. I like homemade guac. I think it's awesome. You know, the one thing I like about our Mexican buddies is the food.
They do have an amazing way to take beans, cheese, rice, and meat and make 1,000 different dishes out of it. Nobody does that like the Mexicans.
Yeah, no, they're and the tortillas and all that. I mean, we can make it ourselves. We don't need 50 million of them to make a burrito, but I've always respected their food. I think it's delicious.
All right, have you heard about this? The name of this artist is Abraham Poinchevel.
Okay.
Okay. This is going to take a twist for you, or maybe not, actually. I don't know. So Abraham is an artist, and he just finished his most recent exhibition. He lived in a rock for a straight week. Here he is getting out of the rock.
This boulder in a Paris art gallery has been where a French artist has spent a week of his life. Abraham Poinchevel made a victory sign as he was helped from the 12-ton limestone boulder, where he has been entombed since the 22nd of February. His next performance will involve sitting on eggs in an attempt to hatch them.
All right, art or comedy?
Well, I think he's full of shit. I think he had a backdoor of that. And it also just kind of shows that we might be due for an economic collapse, because if that's a thing, like if there's enough infrastructure where people pay money to look at a guy sitting in a rock.
Entombed.
Yeah, I'm just not buying it. I mean, look at the guy. Like, there's no way that guy just sat in a rock like that. I think there was a trap door and it's just another scam.
So we got artists sitting in a rock. We got the U.S. military in Iraq. It's basically the same thing. So
exactly.
So you're not buying it. You don't think that's art?
No, I think that's ridiculous. I mean, I think the nacho hat is more art than that, honestly.
If he can hatch an egg with his ass, is it art?
No, that's more the homoeroticism. I think his dream is to have a chicken go in his ass, but he won't just say that. So he has to say like, "Oh, I'm going to be a mama hen," you know, because after the Richard Gere situation, no one really wants to admit that they are just going to do that. So he's going to call it art. I mean, I think a lot of art is. I'd like to hear someone define what art is at this point.
Who was it that said? I think there was a debate over legislation when it came to adult content.
Oh, yeah. That was a major job. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
And he said, you know what? I can't define what porn is, but I know it
when I see it. Right. It's like, that's like Jews for me.
You want to carry on?
Yeah, because no one can really define Jews. Is it a religion? Is it a race?
Oh, yeah.
You know, they say I'm an eighth Jew. What does that even mean? Like, is it a bloodline? Then you have the black Jews, the Persian Jews. You know, you have Kabbalah, the Talmud, the Torah.
European Jews. Don't leave the white Jews out of this now.
Yeah, and some of them just look like gremlins. Some of them are very handsome, you know, out of Spain. And so they're not really, it's almost like what they do with light. It's a particle and a wave, even though you can't be both. So it gets to a point where you know, you can't really define what a Jew is. I always wished Matt Walsh, instead of what is a woman, he did what is a Jew, because no one really knows. So I pretty much just know it when I see it. And it's typically, you know, when you lie to the world and say that you're sitting in a rock for 2 weeks, I'm thinking that's a Jewish man.
Well, first of all, you just gave Matt Walsh $1 million idea, and you did it for free. So you're very generous in that regard. And so if you're doing something for free, I think it's fair to say you're not. Well, anyway, So we'll just go ahead and move on for that. But I think that's $1 million idea right there. I think for Matt Walsh.
Well, he'd get fired from the Daily Wire though, because once you start defining terms,
I mean, if it makes a bunch of money, I think you can sell it to Shapiro. I think maybe he can, say, hey, Ben, I know you might not like this, but money.
That's a good point. That's a good point. That's always the conundrum. That was like Passion of the Christ. I that was when Jews really went a little batty, because they're like piles of money, but Mel Gibson, I bet that was, I am not envious of them at that moment. They must have had a lot of torment. That was like the passion of the Jewish executive.
I didn't even understand why they took that so personally either. It was just a recount of the Bible. I mean, it wasn't even like it was aimed in any direction, really. I never understood.
No, it was more about Rome. It was like about Rome. And they were like, you're making fun of me. It's like, dude, are you Roman? They're like, they're very confusing,
Yes. Well, everybody's very confused right now. Here's something that's confusing. This is right into your alleyway. I'm going to throw you a fastball right down the middle. Are you ready for this?
Big time.
All right. Artemis 2 moon mission.
Okay.
What is really going on? What is Owen Benjamin's take on the Artemis 2?
You sure you want my take?
I'm 100%. I'm 100% positive. I want your take. It looks like my one shot just went out. That's what's up. But I'm still with you here.
Well, I think NASA is a comedy troupe. And so, one of the woman's named Cock and the black guy's named Glover. And so it's Cock Glover. And they say, that's serious. And they say Cock and Glover are in the rear. And it's a crude mission, CRUDE. They're always doing these funny word things. I think it's a fertility ritual. I think they have Osiris's penis and they throw it in the sky and everyone gets ready to, and it was on April Fool's Day. I think it's a fun, festive time. And it's funny how they're like, we're going back to the moon. And I'm like, are you bringing your golf clubs? And they're like, no, we're just going around it. And it's just like, why don't you guys go back? And they're like, because we don't have the technology anymore. And I suspect the technology has to do with film production. I don't think it has anything to do with traveling anywhere,
And I love how they always do this thing when they have because it's like, oh, we can't send you any feeds. We can't send you any footage, nothing. And then we can pop into Fox News and show you something floating just so we're up here. But other than that, we can't really help you with anything. And this is the one, too. It's like, you start to go down these. It's like, how do you measure? For you, it's different. You people can debate whether you're trying to be funny or not. But for me, it's like, okay, how do you tell somebody that the moon landing was fake that really buys into it? Like, how do you tell somebody that NASA is mostly a money laundering operation and a cover for other operations without them like taking that personally?
Well, I happen to be an expert at this exact thing because for years I was trying to show people this and they just get mad at me. And I do actually value relationships and all that. So what I do now is I'm excited that we did it, but it is faking it. I'm like, that's American excellence that we convinced people we went to the moon. And I kind of just bridged the gap with like, yeah, like what a great stunt we did, that we had Vietnam, we're getting off the gold standard, America's falling apart. And we, united everybody with this fun event. And then they can't really get mad because I'm not taking anything from them. Because sometimes people feel like, oh, you're taking away our greatest accomplishment. I'm like, your greatest accomplishment should be like being a father or something, like something that happened 60 years ago that you can't recreate. Like that sounds very demoralizing. So that's typically how I handle it. I also congratulate people on their moon launch as if it's like another religion, like a Jewish friend, like happy Passover to you, or it's like the Amish.
Yeah, happy Artemis.
Yeah, happy Artemis. I hear you guys are celebrating another successful launch, and it's like Halloween for a kid. You're like, oh, look, happy Halloween, here's some candy. And if you just see it like it's a fun thing for them to do, it's like Halloween for adults. And, you know, you don't have to corner them and tell them that they're retarded, because that's what I did for years. And, you know, people got mad.
Well, I am curious. You brought up the relationship stuff, and I think a lot of people think this way. I assume you think this way. This is how I approach things, which is like, hey, when you're in media, whatever the enterprise is, it's always going to be messy. There's always going to be relationships. There's always going to be broken relationship. There's always going to be this person that hates this person or has beef with this person. And it's like, you can't even, it's like, can I just walk around with my own baggage? You know, like I don't need everybody else's baggage, but it kind of happens. You know, you've kind of weaved in and out of this stuff. How often is it that people will take something personally? Because you're no holds barred. Are you able to kind of do, let's say, some comedy aimed at somebody? Like, here's an example. You recently did some funny ballads on Ian Carroll. I like Ian. I like Ian. I've talked to Ian.
I've grown to like Ian too. Yeah.
So, but I'm curious, when you do stuff like that, like, do people appreciate it? Do they find it funny? Do they take it personally? How do you kind of manage that as somebody that does value relationships?
Well, that's sometimes how I figure out if I like the person or not. It's because I don't mock someone's identity, or I do something where I'm just kind of razzing them. And one of the societal benefits, where if someone's getting influence or power or something like that, you want to know if they're narcissistic. Like, can they handle a joke? Like a good riff, you know? It's like I've had people do impressions of me that are genuinely funny, like totally making fun of me. And I love it, you know? But, and so Ian handled it well. Ian was a good sport about it. And it actually made me think he was, like a pretty cool dude, because, you know, I'm just talking about that. He's got the gay twinkle and the Freddy stash, and he's a ween watcher and all.
The jingles,
you know, because I'm not making like factual statements. I was calling him like a ween watcher, a hammer hugger, like, and I'm not saying like, oh, I have the secret documents that he's literally a gay guy. It's just he has a twinkly smirk, and I was just kind of razzing him. It's kind of like Candace Owens. I was making fun of that her husband found her on safari and bought her from a tribe and all that.
I saw it.
And she handled that. She handled that real, like I'm now like a fan of Candace Owens's show. I'm like, because the whole thing is like, are you gonna freak out or not? You know, because if you knew your husband for 2 weeks, like, I'm going to make fun of that. He's a British lord, and you're, you know, black. You were part of like Brexit. So it's like, it's all identity, you know? Like, I don't even know what black means in the end of the day. Are you Jamaican? Are you so, you know, and I did a bit on Twitter about how like, I can't tell if her husband's gay because I can't tell if British people are gay. I like, because of the accent, I assume they're all gay. And she was laughing, and I'm like, oh, I'm glad you're getting more influence, because if you can laugh at things like that, then you're probably not some type of tyrant. And that's kind of my job. And I do it with every group. I mean, it's just, I get a lot more coverage about the Jew stuff because they can't handle it. Like, they're the one group that like freaks the fuck out. Like, you can do the most benign thing and the ADL will just spiral. Although I have a lot of Jewish listeners that really enjoy the jokes, but like, I make fun of people from Idaho. I make fun of just any group. You know, I used to be a heckler at a Renaissance festival where people would throw tomatoes at me, and I learned that it's not what is, it's what someone has pride in, or what someone's claimed identity is. And I just look at the artifacts on their body, like how they're presenting themselves, like what they have shame in. And the comedian's job is almost to release the shame. It's almost like being a masseuse. And so, you know, maybe in the past I've come across as mean or something, but I really don't have negative emotions about any of this shit, you know? And so as far as like Ian and Candace go, like they've actually impressed me with how they like were just funny, and, you know, they just got the joke, and now I think they're cool people.
You know what I think that is? I think my psychological analysis of that is it's all about confidence. It's like, if you're confident in who you are and what you do, then you really don't care. Whereas if you're not confident, if you're weak or you're a fraud or you're a phony, comedy is what ends up exposing you. You know, comedy is kind of your Achilles heel in that moment. That's what can bring you down when it's tethered to reality. That's why with Trump and SNL, the change is so palpable. It wasn't funny. It wasn't tethered to reality. It couldn't hurt Trump. Now it is. Now it is funny. It is tethered to reality. It can hurt Trump. And so that's kind of the dynamic I think that you're getting into here. And, you know, I have certain rules on how I deal with it. I'm like, my rules are, I never draw first blood. This is if somebody attacks me or, you know, comes after me, whatever. I never draw first blood. I'll always invite you on my show. If you don't take the invite, then I roast you once and I'm over it and I move on. It's not worth it. But most of it to me is funny. I find it funny, the people that, you know, have decided now that they're going to put me on lists and, you know, shit on me. I find it funny. I actually kind of find it entertaining. I don't know. I guess it's like self-deprecation in a way. But
it's a compliment, too. It's a compliment.
It's like, look at this person crashing out over me. Like, I don't even know who you are. You're here like your life is ruined because of something I said. It's like, dude, you can just tune out.
Dude, it's totally a compliment. I mean, my book's already been copied by, and it's presented Omen Benjamin, and it's like, and they're trying because it's selling well. Yeah. And so I take it as a compliment. People were spiraling about it. I'm like, that's cool. You know, if SNL makes fun of you, if like I know some of the writers and the people on SNL, and I'm not going to say who or what this is about, but they were like, someone was pitching to make fun of someone, and Lauren was like, no, we're not going to give that person that credit, because it actually is credit to be made fun of. It's like, it means you're part of the big show, you know? And and so, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it is. And if you're totally wrong, like how they used to make fun of Trump was like not in reality. So it didn't really work, you know? And that's what I Trump derangement syndrome was, where you're pretending he's doing something he's not. But then once he starts doing that, like a thing to make fun of, now it's effective. And now you have two options. You either keep doubling down or you just laugh at it and be like, yeah, it's pretty funny. And that's always the move. You know what I mean?
Oman Benjamin. I mean, that is funny. Oman Benjamin.
Yeah. And it's probably some Indian trying to make some money based on people that made the mistake and buy it, you know?
It's actually,
but yeah, it's a compliment
Oman
that people.
Oman Benjamin.
Yeah. So yeah, people are making fun of you. That's great. And it's also like, if someone has influence, you always want to know, like, can they handle a joke? You know, and then there's things that aren't a joke, where it's like you're trying to get someone kicked off a platform, you're like slandering them, you're trying to start a narrative so no one likes them. That's a lot different than just to make fun of someone's mannerisms or interesting things about their lives, you know, or their claimed identity.
Yeah, that's lowbrow. That's micro mark type. That's micro mark style of approaching things. Well, we've already got you for an hour. You said an hour. I got a couple more things if you got a little more time for us today.
Yeah, I got a little time.
I'd like to do two things. I'd like to get the final thing off my desk, and then I'm going to ask you to do something. But first, let's go to this. We've got a serious situation actually here, Owen. We've got a dangerous situation. We're going to need to call the ACLU. We're going to need to call the ADL. Pretty much anybody at this point needs to get involved in this investigation. NHL fans being investigated for Nazi salute during Stars game after shocking clip emerges, and it looks like these guys are doing a Nazi salute. I mean, I guess you could argue they are. I don't know. Leave it up to your own interpretation, whatever that is. But they do this thing during Stars games. They have their own chant, and they go, Stars, Stars. And so normally, I guess it's supposed to be, it's supposed to be the fist. And these guys, they went with the flat hand. So there's an investigation underway here. Is an investigation warranted? Or do the Stars maybe just own this and say, you know what? We're going to make this a part of our game. We're going to make this a part of the Stars hockey experience. Come here and throw a Roman.
Well, I think we're pretty close to people just doing that. But I think they might be what I am, which is a height supremacist. And so I like to do that, but it's just to show how tall someone has to be my friend. Hail Heitler, it's all about height. And that's why the roller coaster is such a prejudicial thing. But I'm all about it. Like, you cannot get on the roller coaster unless you're this high. Yeah, I mean, that's all just ridiculous. I mean, it's just so stupid that it's almost like hard to comment on. It's like, they also could be playing a big game of rock, paper, scissors. We have black power, which is rock, and then the paper is how you beat the rock. And then, the hippies with the scissors which are lesbians. It doesn't, I mean, I think Jewish paranoia is getting pretty ridiculous, but I think it's
that's one way to put it.
But it's not, I mean, it's a small group, I mean, most Jews I know really don't like the ADL. Like the way it works is the ADL kind of kicks the hornet's nest and tries to scare Jews into giving them money. And I think it's getting harder and harder to do that, and so I mean, I don't even know what happens what happens when people are just like, they're trying to get someone fired for doing this.
We're going to ban you from the NHL. You're banned. You can't go to a hockey game.
I mean, that's just fucking so stupid. It's like, I don't even know what. Yeah, it's like the NHL.
Imagine that conversation. But with the NHL, run by a Jewish American, by the way, that's who runs the NHL. Imagine this conversation. Hey guys, you want to go to the hockey game night? Sorry, man, I'm banned. Oh, how'd you get banned? Well, I may or may not have done a Hitler salute, I guess. I'm banned.
Yeah, it's like, but aren't you Italian? Yeah, it's a Roman salute. Because, Hitler was a bit of a, Hitler was a hack where he took the swastika from, that was out of India and out of the East. I mean, swastika is old as fuck. And also, this was Roman. That was a centurion thing where they'd be like, Caligula. And then, so I think there was a lot of, in the comedy world, that would be like being a joke thief, But he did have, Hugo Boss did design his shit pretty well. That was some pretty tight threads.
All right, here's what I want to do. Would you like to do an interview with President Trump right now?
Sure.
That's what I'd like to do. I'd like for Owen Benjamin to interview President Trump. So let me give him a call real quick.
Okay.
Get him on the line here. All right.
Do you want me to be Barack Obama?
You can be whoever you want to be. That's the beauty of this country. You can be whoever you want to be. The only rule is that you have to support Israel. That's really the only rule here. So however you want to conduct this interview, you go ahead.
Well, hello, Donald. It's Barack Obama.
Yes, Barack, very familiar with your work, like spying on me, very familiar.
I heard you said that my wife, Michelle, has a penis, and that it's big and it's long, and it's a big, long penis. Does Melania have a penis?
Well, first of all, let me address the Michelle. We call her Big Mike, where I'm from, Big Mike. And the only reason, Barack, why I never say something like that is I tried to make a move. I'm going to be honest. I tried to make a move. I went after Michelle one night, and we got to second base, and it wasn't a base. It was a pull. It was a shaft. So that's where that comes from. As far as Melania is concerned, you know what? I haven't had action from Melania in so long. I don't even know. I actually am not even sure anymore. Really, don't even know.
Yes, Michelle told me you had a little of the jungle fever, and you touched the shaft. Listen, Donnie, what's up with you and the Juice? They always want to bomb Iran. Why'd you agree? I mean, they're crazy, bloodthirsty gremlins. Do they own you?
Well, there's two answers to this. One is money. Very simple. Lots of money. Tons of money. Okay. It's very true. So much money that you can't say no. No, but the other answer to that is it's not a good one, but it's called the Epstein Files. I'm all over them. It's true. All over them. I didn't do anything wrong. Okay. Never did anything wrong, but I'm in the files. I hung out with Jeffrey quite a bit, and Howard Lutnick, he was down at the island. He lied about that. Oh boy, not so good. So if I don't take their stacks of cash, they're going to release the files, and so I can't do it, Barack. I'm up against it here, Barack. Can't do it.
Listen, the way I got around that is, number one, I'm black. Crack cocaine and Kit Kats are very cheap. I don't need very much money to get some Kit Kats, little crack cocaine, little Larry Sinclair, oral sex. And number two, black people can't swim. We don't go to an island because we sink like a rock. And that's why I avoided.
Your chef knows something about that, right? Your chef, I think he knows.
Well, if he did know, he will not be saying a word because Michelle's big hard cock kept him under the water for about 7 minutes.
Wow. That's a big hog. That's a big one.
It's pretty, I've seen bigger. I yell at her and sometimes get pretty scary because you call her Big Mike, I call her Medium Mike.
Well, I was actually considering it. I have to be honest. I got to second base. I found something I wasn't expecting. And I was thinking about it, and I said, I'm kosher now. I can't have pork, okay? Can't have hog. So couldn't do it. But I thought about it. I will tell you, I thought about it. If it's Bill Clinton, I say okay. But that was not kosher. No, it wasn't kosher.
How'd you get old Wild Bill to suck you off? I tried making that move many times. Hillary would hit me with a swatter. How'd you get past Hillary?
Well, they tricked me. I have to be honest. They tricked me. They Monica Lewinsky'd me, you might say. But I was expecting something different. It seems to be the trend with me. You expect one thing, you get something different. So I thought it was going to be someone else with a vacuum cleaner for a mouth, and it ended up being a former president. I had no idea what was going on. But by the time I figured it out, I said, he's not bad. He's not bad. So we're going to let him finish the job, and we'll sort it out afterwards. So not sure if he was as good as Monica. Maybe that's where he got the skills. But we let him finish. We let him finish the job. We did.
Last question. What the fuck happened to Dan Boindingo? It seems like you got him to lose his mind. He's went nuts. What happened with old Danny Boindingo?
We like Dan. We still like Dan. I didn't know him that well, honestly. If I had, I probably would have gotten nowhere near him. I mean, nowhere. I'm not so sure his wife wants to be anywhere either. Might be a problem. But, he does one thing really well, and that's praise me and worship me. And he does that as good as anyone, really, maybe the best. And so when somebody is that loyal to you, no matter how psychotic they are, just look at Laura Lewis. Oh, my God. No matter how psychotic they are, if they're willing to get on their knees and praise me 24/7, we'll always have room for them. We'll always have room. No, but I think Dan has some anger issues, quite frankly, some anger issues, maybe some other issues as well. And he got in there. He was what we call a true believer. He really thought he was going to drain the swamp. I'll tell you, it's funny. He really thought he was going to get in there and make deep state arrests. So it was kind of a funny job, but he was never going to do it. We were never going to let him do it. So he had to go back and he had to go home and cry to mommy. He had to go home and cry to mommy because he couldn't get any arrests. So now he's on his show crashing out every day, but he still supports me. And that's the most important thing, Barack. It's the most important.
Well, it's been great talking to you. I'm about to go hang out with a young fella named Clavicular. He says he can pound on my bones. It's been real.
Yeah. Well, it's not the bone pounding you're looking for, but I wish you the best, Barack. It's been great catching up with you. You're a great American, no matter what I say. Great American.
That was a good time.
There's your clip, guys. Go ahead. What do we call this? The Owen tag team, Owen squared. This is the best conversation between Owens in the history of the internet.
That is true. Yeah, this has been quite an Owen spectacular. It's been because there's not a lot of us. I guess there's more Owens now that are young, but
popular. Yeah, it is getting more popular now. Yeah.
Yeah, back when I was a kid, I might as well have been named like Tyrone, or it was like almost like there was one other guy and he was black. Yeah, no, the only other Owen I ever knew was a black dude.
Really, I've never met a black Owen. That's a rare. That's like an ultra rare.
Well, dude, my name's Owen Benjamin Smith. There's an Owen Smith comedian in the Screen Actors Guild. And when I was first in Hollywood, it was like this whole thing where everyone's like, you can't be Owen Smith. There's an Owen Smith. And I'm like, but I never heard of the guy. They're like, he's in the Screen Actors Guild. And he's also really tall, but he's black. And so I was like, maybe I can be white Owen Smith. But that comes across as weird because if it was like black Jerry Seinfeld, everyone knows that. But it would almost seem like I was just leaning into the white shit. So I just went middle name.
Yeah. You know, when I started to get national notoriety, I thought about changing my name to Owen Eagle, but I didn't want to insult my ancestors that thought I might be running from the name. So I just stuck with the Shroyer name. But you know, you always consider that whenever you kind of get to a threshold where it's like, no, you're gonna do this for the rest of your life. Do you want to stick with this name or do you want to change it up? Some people decide to change it. All right, Owen. Well, this has been a blast. I'm going to let you go dive in the river and hunt salmon or whatever it is you guys do. Where can people get your book? Where can people follow your work?
Yeah, How to Slay a Wizard. You can get it on Amazon and Barnes and Noble right now. It's currently a bestseller on Amazon, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And ladle.tv is where all my videos are. It's $9.11 a month because that's the one charge that will make you laugh every month. Like you'll just see 9/11. It's pretty funny. And it has, you know, of my own servers, and it has everything I've ever done, all my comedy specials. I do a live stream almost every day. I have almost 3,000. And so those are the two places, and owenbenjamin.com is my website.
Do you ever get on tour anymore?
I did a tour. I've been taping a special once a year at the land I own in Missouri, but I might start touring again. I think the heat's kind of off me like it was before. I used to get banned from every theater. It was like insane. And now
it's all different now because
it's all different. Yeah, it's all different.
When I first launched my new independent show here, and, you know, I was kind of like, okay, how am I going to, you know, fund it? All the different behind the scenes stuff when you're going to launch a show, launch a business. And I'm talking to those people that are like, listen, and, you know, you always have to think about the potentials here, but really the whole landscape has changed. Nobody's really afraid of controversial content anymore. Nobody's really running from, you know, accusations that people may make about you. So that's good for now.
I did do, you know, the Nephilim Death Squad guys, like Top Lobster and those guys, they had me on a show in Florida, and it was me and Sam Tripoli and some other guys. And they canceled it because I was on it. And it's like, no one can even explain why. Like, I have no criminal record. I don't even go hard in the paint. I think part of it is because I'm so into the solution aspect that, like, I might be on some fucking list, but I still think that I could tour again now. The landscape has changed, but before I would sell my own tickets and get canceled last minute over and over again. And so that's when I started getting decentralized, and I would perform at like listeners' warehouses or farms and shit. And, you know, that's when I saw that there really isn't any power. It's like, they can't really make us do shit. We just can't use their stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think it'd be great to see you back on a stage.
Yeah, I'd enjoy it too.
It's your natural element. You know, you got to get into your natural element every once in a while, even if you do take some well-deserved or needed time off. So if that ever happens, let me know, because I'd love to get a chance to see you on a stage.
Absolutely, man.
All right, there
Thanks
goes.
for having me.
Absolutely, that was fun. Owen Benjamin back into the woods. He goes, sending Goliath back to the woods.